During the lectures we will also talk about some unpublished material. So it is about how grid cells interact with the environment. So we know grid cells are made up by the brain itself, so the hexagonal pattern is generated inside the brain. It doesn't come from any senses. But still, if there is such a pattern, it will only be functional if it is has the same position in the environment each time the animal, or each time we come back to that place. Because if the hexagonal firing locations were in different places on each time we came to the environment, then we would not recognize one position, a certain position as the same position next time you come. So I will talk about what are the mechanisms that the grid cells interact with the geometry of the environment, I mean with the walls and other things. That is work that has not been published. It's accepted in Nature. It will come in a couple of months. It's already at the production stage, but it usually takes 1 to 2 months. I can't say too much, but still I put about 10 minutes of it into the lecture, and that is one highlight. I will also talk about things that are much more unfinished. So we are using, for example, optical techniques, microscope, really small microscopes that you can, they are almost just like a hair that you put into the brain. That's one. So the way I can explain it is that we put a prism into the brain, and then we can actually look at the back surface of the brain from the top. Because it's a prism, then the light is sort of turned at a 90-degree angle. So that's more the technique. Results are still coming. Those are the two main new things. Otherwise, I will spend at least half of the lecture to describe what I believe they have given us the prize for. So more historical. Yeah.
Will it be fair to say this is the event you personally have been looking most forward to?
Well, both yes and no. I mean, it's a big event for sure, and I think as a recognition to a scientist, of course, there can't be anything better than this. At the same time, I mean, we do science because we're interested in science and try to understand how the brain works. And I mean, that's still what we are doing. So, I mean, this is a nice recognition, but it's not what drives our work. So when we try to find out how the brain works, then the satisfaction is perhaps when you find out, you just discover something like the grid cells. That is great. And then this comes on top.
Final question. This is the second day this week. Will you hold up to the bitter end or the sweet end?
Hopefully. It hasn't really started yet, because it began on Thursday, then it was Skavlan and talk show, and then there was a break yesterday. But then today, now it starts with it started in this morning with the Nobel Museum. So we donated a lab and equipment to the museum, and were interviews there. And now it's a press conference, and then we're going to test our lectures, and then there's a dinner tonight. But from tomorrow it is packed. There isn't a single minute. And I'm more curious about that, whether I will be totally exhausted at some point. But others have said that it is exhausting, but it's also fun. So.